Alright guys, I'm Cosentino. Welcome back to my YouTube page. Welcome to these videos where we go behind the scenes and I give you some insight into some of my favorite tricks and illusions. Now if you haven't subscribed, do that right now. Turn on the notifications because these videos are coming to you once a week, every single week, and you do not want to miss them. With that being said, we're going to take a look at one of my favorite escapes, the Crazy Cell. Originally created back in 2007, first performed on my Threshold tour in 2008. So let's take a look at that right now. Okay, the Crazy Cell. The idea behind this, it goes back, well, like I said, it was performed back in 2008, but it was created much earlier inside my head. Now, we're talking, what are we talking, like over 10 years ago when this was first performed, but about 15 years ago when I came up with the idea. Back then, most of the escapes took place behind a cloth or a cover. So for example, people would come up on stage, they would examine the equipment, the locks, the chains, maybe even the apparatus. Then the magician or the escape artist would get inside the contraption and a cloth or a curtain would come up. And then eventually the curtain would drop and the magician or the escape artist would be free. The audience wouldn't exactly know how it took place and they'd be amazed, how did they do it? And then often the equipment would be re-examined. So it is kind of this, how did it take place? Did the magician dematerialize through the locks? It was almost like a mystery, kind of like a magic trick to some degree because it's about, well, how was it possible? What I wanted to do, which wasn't very common at the time, was to do the escape in full view. This was my thinking. When you watch a juggler, you see their skill, their talent on display. So for example, they'll maybe juggle 2 balls, then 3, then 4, then they start to bounce them, and you see it and you think, wow, how can they manage and juggle all those balls in the air? And it's impressive. Or maybe somebody who walks on a tightrope, you can see the process, and they walk on the tightrope, then they add a chair, sometimes you see them ride on a bike, you see the process unfold, you see the skill. With the escape artist, it was always kind of hidden, bar the fact that Houdini did a full view straitjacket escape upside down. But even Houdini back then in the day would be behind a cloth or a cover or a sheet or some kind of curtain. And the audience would literally be watching a curtain and then it would drop and, you know, ta-da, the magician, the escape artist is free, is liberated. But I thought, you know what, we're hip, it's 2005, 2006, we're going to do it in full view. That way, the audience could see my skill on display. So I would explain to the audience that I'm going to use a lock pick. I would explain to them that it's going to happen in full view. So the idea, the premise behind the escape was this. There's a whole rack of spikes above my head. I'm inside a straitjacket. My ankles are chained to the wall and there's a padlock on the front of the door. The front and the sides are actually clear, they're perspex, so you can see through it. And the back of it is padded. I wanted it to look like a crazy asylum, a crazy, hence the reason, crazy cell. And the rack of spikes is held in place with a burning rope. Once the rope burns through, the rope will snap and the spikes will be released. So the idea was that I'm in this crazy cell trying to get out of the straitjacket. Once I got out of the straitjacket, I had to release my ankles, then pick the lock on the door and get out before the spikes come crashing down. That was the idea, that was the concept. And when I first started building it, and I spoke to a number of builders in Australia, for example, they thought the idea was okay, but they didn't quite understand the premise of doing it in full view. They thought, well, where's the kind of the mystery? Where's the drama if you don't put up a cloth, maybe disappear, then reappear in the audience? And I said, no, I don't want to do it like that. I want it to be a full view escape. So the drama is in the acting, the presentation, the showmanship. That's where it needs to come from, not in some kind of mystery based on the fact that it's an illusion or a trick. And that wasn't really done at the time. So we kind of pioneered it, especially in Australia. We definitely pioneered it. I remember a couple of magicians actually having a conversation with me about that and why it wasn't more of an illusion. But I wanted to do a full view escape, and I think, you know what, it stands the test of time. It's one of my favorites to perform. It was very difficult to get it to work in a way that we knew when the rope would burn and snap, and these things, they're very hard to determine when you're dealing with fire, when you're inside, let's say it's warmer, the rope burns quicker, depending on how much fluid you put on there. So we had to measure all the fluid we put on. We had to work out the thickness of the rope, the burn, all these types of things in order to get the rope to snap when we wanted it to snap. And I think it's a pretty dramatic escape. So let's check it out. This was shot at the Regent Theatre for my show, The Grand Illusion. It's my first television special for Channel 7. The shackles are on my ankles, locked to the wall. That's my brother Adam there. Priscilla on my left, locks the door. Rope is lit. Minute 52. Here we go. And one of the things I like about the Crazy Cell is it gives me enough room to really show the drama in escaping from a straitjacket. The strength it takes, the energy, I can get down on my knees, I can really wiggle around, and you know, I look like I'm a crazy person inside a crazy cell. Trying to get the straitjacket off my shoulder. Loosening up the buckles in the back by moving my shoulders. I mean, you can see there's a lot of energy involved. Okay, this is the hard part, trying to get it over your head. Really trying to squeeze that through. Great. Arms are now free. I love that round shot. I mean, I'm biting the jacket, I'm kicking the jacket, I'm really just trying to get it off as quickly as I can. Off. The audience gets very excited. There was a lot of energy when we filmed this TV special. This TV special was actually shot live, and we had a rehearsal and then the live show. And this is exactly what you see. We didn't shoot it 10 times, we didn't go back and re-edit bits and pieces. It's literally live. First shackle off my leg. And the intensity and the drama in the theatre was immense. Second off, now the door. Looking back, you can see the clock, under 10 seconds to go. Pretty dramatic. Power pose at the end. Well folks, there you have it. Crazy Cell, one of my favorite escapes, an original creation going back 10, 12 years. I think the idea almost 15 years ago. It was very different back then when I did it, and we had a lot of compliments on it. I toured it all around the country multiple times. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did bringing it to you. Very difficult to actually perform the escape, execute the escape, to work out all the mechanics and the burning ropes and how the actual spikes would fall. A little bit of a backstory, when I took this on tour in 2008, once the rope actually snapped a little bit too early, and what happened was I just got out in the nick of time. The spikes dropped with such a velocity that they twisted and actually smashed straight through the perspex. And I remember we were in Queensland, country Queensland, and we had to find somebody who could actually replace the perspex. I know what you're probably thinking, why didn't you just leave it without the perspex? Unfortunately, audiences are very cynical, and if there wasn't a perspex wall, maybe some people think that I could escape very easily, but just jumping out of that empty space. So in the middle of country Queensland, we found somebody who could replace that huge panel of perspex. But things like this on tour would happen all the time, and the rope burning mechanism, depending on if we were inside, depending on the air conditioning, depending on the actual venue and how much wind there was, it would change the burn process, the burn time, and how much fuel. In actual fact, we got it down to a science where we would measure the thickness of the rope and measure, of course, how much lighter fluid we'd put on it, just so we could get the burn perfect, have the temperature set right in the theater. That would change depending on how many people would come in. Body heat, if it was 500 people or 2,500 people, it would adjust it. It's a very, very difficult escape to pull off, but super awesome. So there you have it, guys. If you're liking these videos, please subscribe. They come to you once a week. For now, look after yourselves, be safe, and I'll see you at the next video.